Hey, it's PokeDad. Welcome to another tournament video. This time we're doing something different. We have no Pokemon trainers. Instead, we're pitting region against region in yet another AI Pokemon tournament. What does that mean? Well, each region has a set of standard Pokemon. And no, I'm not talking about that team that everyone uses in their playthrough. Looking at you, actually several of these Pokemon feature on the Sinnoh team. We're talking about the consistent categories of Pokemon that appear in every generation. You know, starter Pokemon, regional birds, and so on. Each team of 6 will feature, fully evolved, the region's grass, fire, and water starters, the regional bird, regional electric, and pseudo-legendary. So, this is what Kanto's team looks like from Gen 1. And it's joined by Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Carlos, we're going back to Carlos, baby! Alola, Galar, Hisui, and Paldea. This video was requested by our Discord member, Franman4, who won a competition that I ran about a year ago. Got there eventually. To build these 10 teams, I enlisted the help of 5 friends, so a big shout out to my friends Josh and Logan from the Skill Link podcast, who built 2 teams each. They run a YouTube channel where they attempt difficult challenge that I'd be way too chicken to try, and they also interview people from across the Pokemon community. I spoke with them in November. That interview is linked in the description. Make sure to check them out. The other 6 teams were built by 3 of our Discord server's favorites. Our admins, Deca and Sky Hero, and finally our challenge champion, Competitively. This is the perfect time to plug our Discord. Link also in the description. Join to become part of a fun community and try your hand at our gym challenge. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. There's plenty more to come in 2024. And if you want to support the channel and shape some content, become a channel member. With all that said, let's begin the Regional Invitational. What a terrible name. If you've got a better one, tell me in the comments. Today, we're not just pitting these 10 teams in a bracket and smashing them together. No. We need to give every team its due. Instead, we're starting with a league. Every region faces every other region in one battle. That's 9 battles each for 45 in total. Damn. But because that video would last for over 2 hours by itself, we'll see highlights of these battles split among 9 rounds to track each team's progress. Once we're through these highlights, the teams will be seeded from 1 to 10, and it's on to the knockout stage. Yes, all 10 teams will qualify, so you will see at least one full battle featuring each team. The top 6 automatically land in the quarterfinals. 7 to 10 have to go through a play-in battle. Play-in winners advance to the quarters, and from there it's a standard cup. Sound good? Great! Let's preview the teams. From Kanto, it's almost a red or ash team. Well, if OG Ash actually evolved all of his Pokemon. This team is close to a Gen 1er's wet dream, but it's a solid threat even still. On to Johto, one of the most beastly Pokemon of all time in Tyranitar, and then a couple that have been historically underwhelming, like Meganium and Noctowl. But this build gives Johto a shot at success. This team is a dark horse. Possibly the best starter trio of the entire franchise. Note, I said possibly, don't at me. You'll notice we have Metagross here, not Salamence. I gave Deca the choice, and wisely, with not many steel types available, Metagross was the pick. Now, I did say most of the cliche Sinnoh team was in play. Swap for Floatzel and Lucario, and you've pretty much made Cynthia's graveyard. Almost every mon here packs maxed out speed and attack, either physical or special. So the squad's gonna hit its opponents like a truck on a freeway. When Sinnoh wins battles, they're gonna be quick. Unova's squad kinda resembles Johto's. Like they didn't get a remake on Pokemon Day. Heyo! But seriously, they're pretty close. Mostly monotype starters, mono-electric, underwhelming regional bird, and even the pseudos from Johto and Unova share the dark type. This team build gives Unova a decent shot at a deep run. Contrary superior with Leaf Storm and leftovers? Check. Specs Hydreigon? Check. Gen 6 was the real start of Pokemon gimmicks and the return to adventurous starters. Everyone's favourite Greninja leads the pack, this one's scarfed with Protean, and there are some interesting Terra plays here. Goodra Terra Fairy and Chesnaught Terra Rock. This team is not a pushover. Power creep is here, and I mean, you've heard it before. Incineroar is broken. In doubles. In singles, it's manageable. That said, Fake Out Intimidate is damn annoying. Some strong offense here, but it's not sleeping on defense. Could give this team some staying power. Now this is a beefy team. Surge Rillaboom with a vest, Libero Cinderace, Sniper Inteleon, and that's before even mentioning bulky Corviknight and banded Dragapult. Yep, it's clear why power creep has become a big point of discussion in the Pokemon community. Hisui is probably the most unconventional team here. Originally from a game with entirely different mechanics, this squad leans heavily into hazards and immunities. It's pretty safe on its Terra types, leaning more to defense, and that makes sense. Hisui and Goodra for one is an absolute wall. But there are plenty of weapons here. Scarf Typhlosion with Eruption and Spike setup on Samurott. This team could do damage. Finally, our Paldean squad. Yes, power creep yet again. There are certainly weak points to this team, but Protean Meowscarada with a Choice Band, not to mention Skeledirge and Quaquaval threatening stat boosts, and Pawmot with 2 shots at Revival Blessing thanks to a Leper Berry. Such a broken set, and I am so here for it. 10 teams, 1 winner. Who are you cheering for? Let's begin round 1. Starting the tournament, fittingly, it's Gen 1. Kanto takes on Hisui. Despite getting the first kill, Kanto was on the back foot by the time Dragonite fell. 3 layers of spikes from Hisui and Samurott took their toll, and the Kanto squad had no answer for Hisui and Goodra, which spammed Dragon Tail to get the first win. Johto faced Paldea in round 1, and after 20 grueling turns of maneuvering, Tyranitar gave Gen 2 the lead. But in came Meowscarada and cleaned up, the Paldean cat leaning on its high speed to break through for a win. Over to Hoenn versus Galar. I fully anticipated these two teams would have a tight contest. Dragapult and Corviknight proved me wrong. Dragapult took 2 KOs before being walled by Metagross, but despite a timely freeze, the Hoenn pseudo couldn't break Corviknight. The bird took out 2 more and Dragapult came back to complete the sweep. Galar starts strong. Remember when I said Sinnoh would need to win its battles quickly? Well, round 1 against Alola was just that. 14 turns and with only Infernape KO'd, Sinnoh took a commanding lead. And it wasn't just one Pokemon sweeping. No, 5 Sinnoh Pokemon hit the field and 4 landed at least 1 KO. A whole team effort for the win. Our final match of the opening round, Unova versus Carlos. Well, this is awkward. One has a remake lined up, the other was ignored. Oh well, at least Unova still has Unpheasant. Yay! The match was closely contested from the start. Carlos pulled ahead thanks to Chesnaught and Goodra. Emboar and Hydreigon tied it back up for Unova, but the oversized Chipmunk returned to land the win. Entering round 2, can Paldea take a second win, or will Kanto get on the board? It was closely fought, but Kanto forced an immediate Meowscarada switch to put Paldea on the back foot. With 3 Pokemon left to 1 and without a water move, Blastoise went for Toxic to guarantee the win against Skeledirge, allowing a terrestrialized Raichu to land the final KO. Galar and Hisui battled to stay undefeated, and both showed why they're absolute forces in this tournament. It lasted 41 turns, with the winner's final Pokemon at half health. Hisui and Goodra played with its food for 20 turns, spamming Dragon Tail. Typhlosion erupted away, leaving Galar with just Corviknight on the field. But Dragon Terror saved it from an immediate KO, and access to Roost gave it enough juice to wear down the final 3 Hisuians. Galar goes 2 from 2. Alola and Johto both looked to rebound after losses in round 1. Primarina tanked out early, untouchable to the Johtonian team and taking out 2. From there, it was a case of outmaneuvering a weakened squad to take a first win back to the islands. Carlos faced Hoenn next, and while Greninja tried to hit hard and fast, the Glass Cannon fell in 1 hit. Hoenn consolidated its lead, up 4 Pokemon to 2, before Carlos Queen Delphox hit the field and took down 3. Finishing off this zigzagging battle, Sceptile outsped the next 2 turns for 2 super effective Earthquake KOs. Hoenn on the board. Unova came into round 2 looking for its first win, Sinnoh for its second. And even though Sinnoh tried to play its fast attacking style, Unova wouldn't let it. Smarter play put the American region ahead early. The battle looked entirely over, but with a burned Luxray in the back, Sinnoh capitalized on guts to squeeze out a last-ditch win. 2 rounds down, Sinnoh and Galar on top. Speaking of Galar, Their third round battle was against Kanto, and it was a whitewash. Dragapult, Rillaboom, and Toxtricity combined to take down Gen 1 in a quick battle. Paldea faces Alola, tied at 1 win apiece. An interesting opening with both Meowscarada and Incineroar swapping out on U-turn and Parting Shot, and it took 17 turns until Skeledirge landed Hex on a sub-Primarina to get the first KO. From there, the Paldeans ran with their advantage, Baxcalibur finishing off the win in style. Hisui versus Carlos. Immediately the teams send out their MVPs of the tournament so far, Hisui and Goodra, and Greninja. Naturally, the team swapped around, Hisui setting up spikes through Samurott, and Carlos trying to position Scarf Greninja for KOs. Dragon Tail again wreaked havoc with 3 layers of spikes, doing huge chip damage to Carlos, enough to get Hisui the win. Johto faces Unova, both looking for their first win, and in comes Superior, forcing a swap on Feraligatr, which gave Surf the chance to substitute and glare. From here, it spammed Leaf Storm to max its special attack, and yep, it swept. Unova on the board. Hoenn versus Sinnoh. Now, Gen 3 was my favourite, versus the one 13-year-old me was just too cool for, until I bought Platinum when I was 15 and loved it. This battle proved that hard and fast was Sinnoh's path to victory. Guts Luxray again took command, 4 KOs by itself. Sinnoh still undefeated, tied with Galar atop the table, Paldea and Hisui not far behind, and the remaining 6 gens clumped in a pack. Now's a good time to mention the tiebreak value. It's the number of Pokemon left on the field in each team's wins. Hence why Unova, with 1 win, has a tiebreak of 6, because its win was a sweep. Carrying on, round 4, Alola versus Kanto. Como immediately nails Dragonite, but picked the worst moment to belly drum. Whoops. Decidueye set Tailwind, took out Venusaur and almost Charizard too with Poltergeists. Raichu fought back for Kanto, but after it fell, Primarina wore down Blastoise to give Alola a second win. Carlos wants back on the winners list, but Galar hasn't lost yet. Dragapult and Corviknight showed why. The dragon sacrificed some of its children for 2 KOs, Corv brought the rest down, falling to Talonflame but taking 3 with it. Dragapult returned to close. Galar is absolutely tearing through the competition. Unova's on the board and now faces Paldea to get a second win. And it started very well. Hydreigon and Unpheasant, yes, the bird, took out Skeledirge and Quaquaval. The battle leveled thanks to Meowscarada, and after Pawmot took down Zebstrika, Paldea had the lead. Pawmot even read the ground terror on Hydreigon with an Ice Punch, but the Pseudo had enough firepower to close it all out. Unova suddenly in the top 4. The past meets the future. Hisui versus Sinnoh. It was close from end to end, the sides exchanging KOs. Decidueye fell, then Staraptor, then Samurott, then Torterra. A bad swap let Typhlosion take out Garchomp before a string of revenge kills brought us to a 1v1. Normal Terra Luxray against Steel Terra Braviary. And, oh, it's over. Sinnoh stays undefeated. Over to Hoenn and Johto. Both teams were determined to boost stats, failing to sweep every time. And poor Johto. Tyranitar polished its rocks after weakness policy, missed a Stone Edge and died to Air Slash. Then Ampharos missed Focus Blast 3 times in a row to get taken out by a safe play from Manectric. But then, a missed Hypnosis from Dragon Terra Noctowl got the Blunder Policy boost to win off the back of Roost and Hurricane. Johto is on the board. Round 5, Kanto versus Carlos. Both 1 and 3, desperate for a win. And this was the situation Greninja was built for. Squad of 6 all weak to one of its moves. It got the immediate KO on Pidgeot, Talonflame took down Raichu, and then Greninja flew in and out again to wipe up Dragonite. Heliolisk made a late cameo to cripple the rest of Kanto, with Delphox finishing it off. Carlos gets a lifeline, but is Gen 1 stuck at the bottom of the table? Next, Alola versus Unova, both looking for a third win. Which will separate from the pack? Alola, that's who. Incineroar and Primarina almost single-handedly took out the Unovans. Alola climbs the ladder. Paldea faces Hoenn. A bad swap forced Meowscarada to wear a Boom Burst from Swellow, which was enough to KO. From there, nothing had an answer to Swampert, giving Hoenn a second dub. Hisui takes on Johto, the Jotonians desperate for a big win. And turning Hisui and Goodra's strategy against it, Meganium set screens and Dragon tailed through the team. By the time Noctowl blundered to a speed boost, Hisui was in a tough spot. The Owl taking the final 4 KOs to bring Johto a second win. Finishing round 5, the top of the table clash, Galar versus Sinnoh. Equally dominant so far. Galar pulled ahead thanks to Corviknight, but Luxray beat down the dangerous bird. Rillaboom fell to rough skin damage after KOing Garchomp. From there, it was knockout for knockout, and Toxtricity faced Torterra at 2-2. The Turtle took out the Rockstar, but speed from Cinderace gave it the edge to close out the win. Galar remains undefeated. Round 6, Unova faces Kanto, both looking for a bounce-back win. And immediately, Kanto takes the advantage thanks to Multiscale Dragonite blunting the impact of Hydreigon's Draco Meteor. Unova wrested back control thanks to Emboar in the sun, but once Samurott fell, Unova had no strong answer to Pidgeot's speed. The Cantonians returned, their second win and first since round 2. Sinnoh looked to get back on the winners list against Carlos, but tanky Chesnaught registered 2 early KOs to put Sinnoh on the back foot. Clever play from end to end maintained this advantage with Greninja a menace. Carlos stays in touch with the pack, Sinnoh falling off the pace. Also trying to keep up, the Hoenn team. It was a close fight early against Alola, but at 4-4, Swellow came out to sweep, and Alola just didn't have any answers. After a slow start to the tournament, here comes Hoenn. But there's been nothing slow about Galar so far this tournament. Can Johto stop them? No. Dragapult tore through the Jotonians, who were left with just 2 on the field before getting their first kill. Feraligatr did some late damage, but Galar rode its lead to a 6th consecutive win. And now our 2 newest regions, Hisui and Paldea. Goodra tried to play its tricky game, but Quaquaval was the game breaker, speed boosting with Aqua Step to cripple the Hisuian team and give Paldea the win. With 3 rounds left, Galar is running away with the league, 2 wins clear at the top. Sinnoh is second on 4 wins, 1 clear of Alola, Hoenn, Paldea and Carlos, who each have 3 wins. And rounding out the league, Unova, Johto, Hisui and Kanto, all on 2 wins. It's still anyone's game because, well, I mean, they all qualify for the playoffs on some level, but how much movement will there be in the final 3 rounds? Kanto faced Sinnoh in round 7, and the Sinnoh slide continued. Multiscale Dragonite gave Kanto an easy KO turn 1, and soon after Venusaur drained Garchomp out of the battle. The teams leveled with 3 each, but a smart switch from Kanto to reset Charizard's special attack after overheat won at the battle. Hoenn faced Unova, both teams needing a dub. Hoenn struck early with stones and Swellow looked ready to sweep, but it couldn't take out Emboar, who head smashed the bird into oblivion, falling to recoil on the way. Sadly, with Emboar gone, Unova struggled to take down Metagross, but the damage was done. Hoenn gets a 4th win, and suddenly, they're in 2nd. Next, Carlos faced Johto in one of the longest battles in the tournament. Both teams fought for positioning, with plenty of switches saving key Pokemon from an early exit. Johto took the lead 5-3, but this battle's MVP was Delphox, who landed 3 KOs to give Carlos a 2-on-1, and all on its own, Meganium couldn't mount a comeback. Alola faced Hisui, with the team from the past on a 3-game losing streak. The Islanders took the early lead following poor play from the Hisui team, but Typhlosion lucked out, missed by a scale shot from Como, giving it a KO through extra sensory. Hisui started to turn the tables, with Samurott setting 3 layers of spikes. Naturally, Goodra Dragon-tailed, allowing Typhlosion to finish the battle with 2 easy KOs. Hisui back on the winners list. The undefeated Galarians faced Paldea. Toxtricity gave Galar the lead with Overdrive on Skeledirge. A danger to Corviknight was gone. Hormot fell on the next turn and in came Baxcalibur. Galar, likely picking an Earthquake from the Paldea side, swapped to Corviknight, but instead, Baxcalibur used Dragon Dance. Corviknight opted for Bulk Up, but was immediately overwhelmed by Baxcalibur's damage output. Dragapult, Rillaboom and Cinderace opted for priority moves, but it wasn't enough to take out the dragon. Eventually, Inteleon got the KO, surviving Glaive Rush on its Sash. Should have gone there earlier, but Meowscarada cleaned up, Galar finally taking an L. Round 8 begins, Kanto heading to Hoenn, and the OG region was quite content to sacrifice Charizard early in exchange for damage on Swampert. Blastoise thought a freeze from Metagross with Scald, and Swellow couldn't substitute in safely to spam Boom Burst. Down to 3, Hoenn had no answer to check Dragonite, which gave Kanto a third consecutive win. Sinnoh was in desperate need of a win against Johto, but Gen 2 played a highly defensive battle, out-positioning Sinnoh at every turn. Reflect saved Ampharos from a certain KO when Garchomp hit Earthquake, letting Ampharos land a 4 times Hidden Power Ice. This was enough to swing the battle, with the healthier squad cruising to a third win. Next up, Hisui hosted Unova, and from the very beginning, one side dominated behind a usual suspect, Hisuian Goodra, an unexpected contender for the tournament's MVP. No hazards were set, but between defense-boosted body presses and Dragon Tail, Goodra had 5 KOs by itself. With 6 left on the field against 1, Hisui easily cruised to its 4th win. From Paldea to Carlos, and both teams started with powerful speedsters, Meowscarada and Greninja. Protean U-turn from Greninja straight away knocked out the Dancing Cat, and soon after, for the first time this tournament, Pawmot used Revival Blessing. Back came Meowscarada, but it subbed straight into a U-turn. Oh well, Paldea tied the battle, but with only 3 low HP Pokemon left, Water Shuriken from Scarf Greninja was enough to get the win for Carlos. Ending round 8, Galar and Alola faced off, and Galar are a bit shaky. Alola got the first 2 KOs, and even though Galar evened affairs, Como crippled the Gen 8 team to claim a safe win. 1 round to go, Galar at the top, 1 game clear of Carlos, and there are 6 teams tied a further game back. Let's finish the league. On to round 9, where Kanto and Johto open. The winner might just squeak into the top 6 and an automatic quarterfinal. Johto fell behind early, unable to deal with Dragonite, but Noctowl again used its blunder policy strat. It might have had a speed boost, but Noctowl failed to hit a Hurricane. Later, Feraligatr beat up on a Mouse, but Pidgeot finished the tie for Kanto. Hisui and Hoenn are tied on 4 wins. The winner is guaranteed a top 6 finish. In this battle, it was their usual suspects doing damage. Yet again, a team found itself up against Hisui and Goodra with no answers. The slimy, steely dragon getting the win for Hisui. Another 2 teams tied on 4 wins, Sinnoh and Paldea. Determined to break the losing streak, Garchomp quickly took out Skeledirge and Infernape punched out Baxcalibur. Sinnoh really came to play, blocking a Thunder with a Torterra switch, and then speed-boosted Luxray dealt with a dangerous Meowscarada. From there, Infernape closed out the win, the losing streak ends. First plays 10th as Galar faces Unova. Unova lost a Mon early, but Hydreigon and Unpheasant combined to wear down Inteleon, Corviknight and Cinderace, before Emboar finished off the win. Galar stumbling near the end, but they will still finish on top. Our final league battle is Carlos versus Alola. Tanky Primarina bodied too early, Como took down the dangerous Greninja, and a final stand from Talonflame was blunted by Incineroar's Intimidate. Alola ties Carlos with a 5th win. That's it, the league is finished. How do our standings look, and what does it all mean? In first, Galar, alone on 6 wins. A brilliant start before a 3-game slide at the end. Showing just how even this tournament has been, 5 teams are tied on 5 wins, separated only by our tiebreak. Alola takes second thanks to 5 dominant wins, finishing just ahead of Hisui. Despite a mediocre second half to the season, Sinnoh lands in 4th thanks to its strong performance in its first 4 battles, while Carlos and Kanto are tied for 5th on the tiebreaker. But because Carlos defeated Kanto in the league, the Colosians will take 5th and the Cantonians 6th. Now, these 6 teams will reach the quarterfinals automatically. The top 2, Galar and Alola, will await the winners of our play-in battles, which feature, in 7th place, Hoenn, who like Paldea finished on 4 wins with a tiebreak value of 13. But Hoenn defeating Paldea back in round 5 gives it the edge. Unova finishes 9th thanks to its final round win, edging out Johto on tiebreak. So, starting our knockout battles. Hoenn will face Johto, and Paldea takes on Unova. Let's watch these battles in full. Well, how about that? First, a pretty dominant win for Hoenn over Johto, and then Paldea versus Unova was a wild ride. Right at the end, it looked like Paldea had it in the bag, but the AI seemed to forget that Terra Flying would negate Double Shock. Quick thinking to revive Killer Watchel let it finish the win. Is Gen 9 broken? Yes. Moving on to the quarterfinals. The top seed Galar faces the 8th ranked Paldeans. Galar has the edge from the league, 2 more wins than Paldea, But one of Galar's 3 losses was to the Generation 9 team. 4th-seeded Sinnoh takes on 5th-ranked Carlos. Tied on wins with an edge to Sinnoh on tiebreak, Carlos, however, won their league battle. 2nd-ranked Alola faces 7th-placed Hoenn, fresh from their play-in win. And again, the lower seed won their league battle, and it wasn't close. Finally, 3rd seed Hisui takes on 6th seed Kanto. Hisui beat Kanto way back in round 1, but both teams are on strong winning streaks. Hisui their last 3, and Kanto their last 4. Now, which 4 regions will make the semi-finals? I guess, technically speaking, we had 3 upsets, with 3 lower seeds qualifying for the semis along with Hisui, and both play-in winners have managed to sneak into the top 4. The biggest upset on paper is Galar falling to Paldea, and what a battle that was. The Galarians almost got revenge for their round 7 loss to Paldea, carried hard by Dragapult's choice-boosted darts. But then came Baxcalibur with the head fake. Baxcalibur Terrid Fairy, giving it 2 free Dragon Dances after the choice-locked swap. From there, Paldea had the win locked up, advancing to the semi-finals to face Carlos, who took an early lead against Sinnoh before committing to switch plays to outposition the rest of the Gen 4 squad. Greninja looked to have the battle wrapped up against Flying Terra Staraptor, but a quick attack brought the battle to a 1v1. Sadly, choiced into quick attack, Staraptor had no answer to Rock Terra Chesnaught. But hey, it had no choice. Would have been one shot by Greninja if it didn't quick attack. Also making the top 4, Hoenn, who took a win over Alola thanks largely to Swellow and Swampert. Alola started well with Primarina hanging on to take out a boosted Blaziken and Como ending Manectric. When Sceptile fell, Alola was up 5-3, but with everything kind of unhealthy, Swellow took the advantage with Swampert finishing the game. Hoenn will face Hisui with the Gen 8.5 team, I guess, never really in danger against Kanto. Again, Goodra did a lot of damage, but thankfully for the Gen 1ers, no hazards were set up, limiting Goodra's impact. The tightest moment was likely Hisui sending Samurott into a bad matchup against Venusaur, but this turned out fine. Tempting a grass move from Venusaur, it KO'd behind a stab Sucker Punch. A cheeky Pidgeot avoided Sucker Punch by using Defog twice, but it needed to deal damage to Decidueye, which landed a Sucker Punch for the win. So our final 4. Is it who you predicted? Paldea versus Carlos, and Hoenn versus Hisui. Our final will be Carlos versus Hisui. And funnily enough, these teams were made by the same person. Well done, Logan. In the semis, Carlos survived not one, but 2 revival blessings from Pormot, meaning this team really landed 8 KOs, which is almost as cheeky as the Volo battle in Arceus. Spike setup from Chesnaut proved their undoing, with Meowscarada fainting to Spikes after returning to the world of the living. The Colosians will need to bring these tactics if they hope to beat Hisui, who continued their good form, now up to 5 consecutive wins. And Hisui played their classic style in their semi-final, setting up Spikes for Goodra to spam Dragon Tail. The Hisuian team dominated with 4 Pokemon left on their side at the end of the battle. In the third playoff, Paldea proved too strong for Hoenn, turning the tables on their league battle when Hoenn almost swept. But now for the main event, the final of the Regional Invitational. Still a bad name. They're 2 informed teams. Hisui have won their past 5, Carlos 5 of their last 6. And both teams follow a similar pattern: a hazard setter, a scarfed special attacker, and a Goodra. I mean, who would have thought Goodra would be the only pseudo in the final? Anyway, which team will claim the title? In a closely fought final battle, Hisui triumphs. Carlos got the first KO, but Samurott had already achieved its goal, set up Spikes, which got solid chip on most of the Colosian team. The battle ended with a clean Chloroblast from Electrode onto Rock Terra Chesnaut, claiming the championship for Hisui. Congrats to the Hisuian team, and a big thanks again to our 5 team builders, Deca, Sky Hero, Competitively, and Logan and Josh from Skill Link. Now, it's time for you to subscribe. Yes, you've made it this far. Hit that button and hit the bell too. I'm PokerDad. See you soon.